How about we start today's video with a simple question: where do you live? Take a second to think about your surroundings, the kind of place you call home. Do you live in the countryside with barely any neighbors around? Maybe you're settled in a busy city, one of those sprawling places filled with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. Or perhaps you're someone who lives in a tiny town where everyone knows everyone. There's no wrong answer. But just like cities can get a bad rap, there are some small towns that leave people wondering if something's just not quite right. So here are 15 of the strangest small towns you probably never even heard of. Number Quince, Kakuno Island, Estonia. On Kakuno Island, ladies run the show. For generations, men have spent months at sea, working as fishermen or sailors. That left everything else: farming, raising kids, managing households, and preserving culture to the women. And they handled it. Kakuno is one of the few places on Earth where traditional matriarchy isn't a theory. It's a lifestyle. Women here keep centuries-old customs alive through music, dress, and rituals, and they make it very clear that outsiders should respect that. They've even compiled lists of everything they manage just to prove how capable they are, and frankly, they don't need to. You'll see it the second you arrive. Tourists are welcome, but disrespect isn't. They've been known to publicly call out visitors for mocking their way of life. So if you're thinking of visiting, be cool, be curious, and don't treat it like a gimmick. Kakuno isn't trying to be strange, it's just doing things its way, and that's what makes it unforgettable. Number 14, Zuskar Spain. Zuskar wasn't always blue. It used to be a normal, white-walled Spanish village like so many others in Andalusia. Then came 2011, and a marketing deal with Sony Pictures. To promote the Smurfs movie, the entire town was painted sky blue, transforming every building into a cartoonish shade you'd usually only find on a toy shelf. What was meant to be temporary ended up becoming permanent when locals voted to keep the color after tourism spiked. Tour buses rolled in, zip lines were installed, adventure parks sprang up, and suddenly, Zuskar wasn't just a village, it was an experience. Eventually, legal issues with the Smurf trademark forced them to drop the name, but the blue stayed. Locals leaned into the identity, blue walls and all, and now market themselves as the Blue Village. It's not subtle, it's not traditional, but it is strange in that rare, self-aware way. A real town willingly turned itself into a marketing stunt and then just kept going. That's commitment. It reminds the marketing tactic done by Samsung for folding phones. Number 13, Morsville USA. Morsville, Alabama doesn't feel like a town, it feels like a well-kept secret. With a population of just 53, it's almost invisible on most maps. And that's exactly how the locals like it. This town was officially incorporated in 1818, before Alabama was even recognized as a state. Back in the day, it was a thriving cotton town until an insect infestation wiped that economy clean. What's left behind is a town that froze itself in time. Buildings are still maintained by hand. There are no modern additions trying to blend in. Residents are proud of the history, and they've preserved every inch of it. Census numbers have barely changed in years, which makes sense. People don't stumble into Morsville, they arrive on purpose. It's not strange because of something loud or outrageous. It's the quiet, the stillness, the kind of place where modern life simply backed away. For those who stay, that's the whole point. It's one of America's oldest incorporated towns, and it lives like it never left the 1800s. And it's the best place for writing books. Number 12, Holstat, Replica, China. In Guangdong, there's a place that looks suspiciously European, and for good reason. What you're seeing isn't just inspired by Austria's Holstat. It's a full-blown architectural clone. Everything from the pastel houses to the iconic bell tower was recreated in near-perfect detail by a Chinese mining company looking to build an upscale housing district. The idea was to give locals a taste of European luxury without ever leaving the country. It's eerily accurate, down to the lakefront layout and cobblestone streets. But while Holstat in Austria is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, this version is more like a photo filter, beautiful but hollow. The town was designed for wealthier citizens as a vacation home area, but it never reached the community energy it was modeled after. You'll find stunning visuals and empty courtyards, luxury without the soul. Some visitors are fascinated. Others feel it's just strange. Either way, it's proof that even identity can be copied brick by brick. And let's be honest, China and the Chinese can copy anything. Number 1. Santa Cruz de l'Islote, Colombia. Santa Cruz de l'Islote isn't just small, it's dense. Just 2.5 acres of coral rock, off the Colombian coast, packed with around 600 beautiful people. That makes it one of the most crowded islands on the planet. Originally founded by fishermen, the island evolved into a close-knit, almost self-contained community. There's a school, a church, a few shops, even a restaurant, squeezed into this floating neighborhood. The craziest part, most people are part of just a handful of families. Homes are passed down, and when a family runs out of space, they don't move out. They build upward. Multi-story houses are stacked like Lego blocks. Despite the tight quarters, it's peaceful. There's virtually no crime, and residents work together to protect their environment, including saving endangered sea turtles. Streets are narrow, kids play soccer in alleys, and life continues in a rhythm most of us couldn't imagine. It's strange for sure, but also inspiring. They've turned a crowded patch of rock into a real, functioning community. Number 10. Nagoro, Japan. Well, Nagoro looks like a regular mountain village at first, until you realize most of the people standing around aren't real humans at all. They're scarecrows, life-size dolls, stitched and stuffed with care, sitting on porches, fishing by the river, or waiting at empty bus stops. In this quiet part of Japan, these figures outnumber actual humans by more than 10 to 1. They're all the work of Tsukimi Ayano, a local woman who returned to Nagoro in 2002. It started with one doll to keep birds away, but as more villagers moved or passed away, she began replacing them with handmade figures, each meant to represent someone who once lived there. It's both haunting and oddly touching. What was once a dying village is now filled with silent spectators of the past. The stillness of Nagoro feels like time has given up and left behind only memories stitched into cotton. It's not your average town, but it tells a story without saying a word. Number 9. Coober, Pedy, Australia. In the middle of South Australia's outback sits Coober, Pedy, a town that flipped the script on traditional living. Instead of building homes above ground, most residents here live underground. The reason? The heat. Surface temperatures regularly soar above 110 degrees, making the underground opal mines the most logical place to settle. These aren't crude shelters either. We're talking full-on homes, living rooms, kitchens, even hotels built right into the rock. The town sprang to life in the early 1900s thanks to an opal rush, and it's been carving out its identity ever since. Above ground, it looks barren and almost lifeless. But below, there's a network of homes, churches, and bars cooled naturally by earth and stone. It's not a gimmick, it's survival that turned into a lifestyle. Coober Pedy might look like the end of the world on the surface, but it thrives underground, where real life hums quietly, safe from the sun and heat. Number 8. Lilyale, USA. Tucked away in western New York, Lilyale isn't your average lakeside town. It's a spiritualist community, home to dozens of practicing mediums and thousands of visitors seeking answers from the other side. Founded in 1879, Lilyale became a haven for people who believe in communicating with spirits. It's not a tourist trap pretending to be mystical. It's an actual functioning town where psychic readings, healing circles, and spiritual workshops are just part of everyday life. The summer season is when things truly open up. Over 20,000 visitors make the pilgrimage to connect with mediums, some of whom have been practicing for decades. Streets are lined with modest homes, bookstores, energy centers, and meeting halls. Everyone here has a reason for arriving, and a story when they leave. It's calm, focused, and undeniably strange, not because it's loud or flashy, but because it's so earnestly committed to something most towns never talk about out loud. In Lilyale, belief isn't hidden, it's the foundation. Number 7. Monoi, Nebraska. Monoi isn't small, it's singular. One resident, one person, one town. Elsie Eiler is Monoi's mayor, librarian, bartender, and clerk, all because she's the only person who lives there. After her husband passed away in 2004, she became Monoi's entire population. But this isn't just a name on a mailbox. Elsie still operates the Monoi Tavern, the only functioning business in town. She even prepares and submits the necessary municipal paperwork each year, so Monoi keeps its legal town status. The town once had dozens of residents, a post office, and a school. But over the decades, people left, buildings collapsed or were swallowed by weeds. Now, Monoi is just Elsie, and a sign marking its population. What's surreal is how normal she makes it seem. She serves burgers, chats with customers, and shelves books in a library built in memory of her late husband. No gimmicks, no showmanship, just one woman quietly keeping an entire town alive. If that's not the definition of rare, nothing is. What do you think about it? Let us know. Number 6. Dudley Town, USA. Dudley Town, Connecticut doesn't appear on many maps for a reason. It's not just abandoned, it's deliberately off-limits. Long ago, this village earned the nickname the Village of the Damned. According to lore, the Dudley family who settled here brought a curse with them from England. What followed were decades of bizarre deaths, suicides, and strange disappearances that locals still whisper about. Even skeptics can't ignore how quickly the town fell apart. By the early 1900s, it was completely empty. Today, what's left is buried deep in the forest. Moss-covered foundations, broken stone walls, and a thick silence that doesn't feel right. The land is privately owned now, and trespassing is strongly discouraged, not because of superstition, but because people won't stop chasing ghosts. Researchers have debunked much of the folklore, but the strange energy of the place is hard to explain. Whether you believe in curses or not, Dudley Town carries a reputation it can't shake, and some say it never will. Number 5. Skagastrand, Iceland. Far up north in Iceland sits Skagastrand, a quiet coastal town with less than 1,000 people and more character than most cities. It's isolated, a bit frozen in time, and proud of it. You won't find malls or high-rises here. Instead, you get weather-beaten houses, cultural centers that double as community spaces, and landscapes so surreal they barely look real. It isn't trying to impress anyone, and yet it does. Artists and travelers drift in now and then, drawn by the slow pace and almost cinematic backdrop of cliffs and sea. The town thrives on a mix of tradition and subtle rebellion, doing things its own way without asking permission. Some would call it uneventful, but that's missing the point. The real draw is in the quiet, in the routines that haven't changed for decades, and in the kind of stillness that feels earned. Skagastrand doesn't put on a show, it just exists, steady and strange, with a beauty that doesn't need explaining. Now, let's move to Number 4, Banak USA. Once the capital of Montana Territory, Banak was a gold rush boomtown that grew fast and died faster. After gold was discovered in 1862, people swarmed the area, building a town from nothing overnight. At its peak, it had hotels, saloons, a schoolhouse, even its own gallows. But the success didn't last. When the gold dried up, so did the population. What's left is a remarkably preserved ghost town, standing like a monument to lawless ambition. Unlike most abandoned places, Banak isn't rotting away in silence, it's maintained as a state park. Visitors can walk through creaking floorboards and peer into homes that haven't been touched in decades. Locals whisper about hauntings, especially around the old jailhouse and hotel. Whether you believe that or not, Banak feels heavy with history, almost like it remembers everything. It's a place where the past never left, where echoes don't fade, and where the wind sounds like it's got a story to tell if you stay still long enough to hear it. Number 3. Kakuno Date, Japan. Kakuno Date is like stepping into another era, one that never left. This historic town in Japan's Akita Prefecture has preserved its 17th century samurai district with such precision that it feels like time folded in on itself. Rows of old wooden houses still stand exactly where they did centuries ago, their architecture untouched and their interiors filled with ancestral artifacts. Some of these homes are still owned by descendants of actual samurai families, while others are open to the public, giving visitors an intimate glimpse into feudal Japan. But it's not just the buildings that draw people in, it's the cherry blossoms. Every spring, the town transforms into one of Japan's most scenic hanami spots, with tunnels of soft pink petals lining the riverbanks. Tourists show up for the trees, but they stay for the deep sense of history that's embedded in every street. Kakuno Date isn't flashy or overly curated. Its strangeness lies in its refusal to modernize, to let go or to blend in. Number 2. Temps Town, China. Shanghai's outskirts hide a British village that doesn't belong. Just like Holstat, Temps Town was designed as part of a larger plan to spread urban growth through themed satellite towns, and this one leaned hard into the UK aesthetic. Red telephone boxes, mock Tudor homes, cobbled lanes, even a Gothic-style church. It's all here, minus the rain and fish and chips. The intention was to lure buyers away from central Shanghai with a blend of nostalgia and novelty. But the buyers that came weren't looking to live. Most properties ended up as second homes or backdrops for wedding photos. What's left now is an empty stage set. Elegant buildings without neighbors, streets without stories. It's not abandoned, but it rarely feels alive. Some compare it to a theme park without the rides. It's beautiful, curated, and bizarre. The town mimics another culture so precisely that it almost forgets to create its own. You don't walk through Temps Town to experience life. You walk through it to remember somewhere else. Number 1. Guthor Netherlands. Let's end in the Netherlands with a town that doesn't even feel real. Guthor. This village looks like a painting come to life, with charming houses, arched wooden bridges, and not a single road in sight. Instead of cars, people glide through narrow canals and boats, passing identical thatched roof homes that seem frozen in time. The whole place gives off fairy tale vibes, but in the most literal way. It's quiet, peaceful, and oddly surreal. Even weirder, very few people actually live there, which only adds to its eerie calm. The town has become a hotspot for tourists, curious to see if it's really as strange as it sounds. And while the myth that there are no roads into the town isn't entirely true, it's close enough to keep the curiosity flowing. Just a 90-minute drive from Amsterdam, Guthor has turned its old-school strangeness into a full-blown attraction, and whether you find it charming or creepy, it's definitely unlike anywhere else in the country. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more awesome content like this. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.